Welcome everybody to today's webinar. This is Monday, January the 26th. We'll be talking today about tagvillage and about the relaunch of tagvillage and our plans there. I'm David Ruebush, CEO of tagvillage Incorporated. On the call I have David Newman. He's an investor, one of the major investors in the company, and also a person who has quite a substantial account with tags and balance that he's traded and stuff throughout the years. So quite a substantial member in the company. He's also on the call. He'll be helping to field questions and helping me manage this webinar today. What we're going to talk about is basically how we plan to rebuild tagvillage and get it going. And the goal obviously is to hopefully get this to being a profitable and growing company, so everyone can get make some money from what we've all contributed. So I just want to quickly go through. I'm going to just quickly run down where we are, what we're planning, and then what we'll do is we'll open it up to questions. You guys can give us questions. We'll answer those. And like I said, this is being recorded, so we'll post it up on the website so other people can listen to it as well. So as you all know, tagvillage has been offline now for quite a while. We had to take it down when we finally just got to the point we could not operate. We couldn't overcome the cost that was put on us, especially from the credit card fraud that happened back in 2013, I think it was. And so we've been working on a plan to rebuild tagvillage, and it's not easy because the company is officially it was closed completely down. We shut everything down. We closed down the website, the server. We backed everything up to hard drives. We closed down all operations. Everybody who was on the board resigned. All the officers, everybody who was working for the company resigned and quit, so that we didn't have any expenses or any overhead, any burdens on the company. We even closed the bank account. We closed every single aspect of the business down to zero, so there was nothing at all other than just a PayPal account that we kept open and a $5 website that we kept live so that people could have a website to go and see plans, or at least a little bit of communication there. And I've been working behind the scenes mainly on one primary problem. The main primary problem we were trying to eliminate is the company had a loan from one of our major stockholders who that we were defaulted on. We ran out of money and we couldn't make payments on that loan, and so we defaulted on the loan. And so my primary objective for the last year has been to get that balance paid off, get that loan paid off, because it was the only official debt that the company had on the books, and I wanted to get that eliminated, and we're very, very close to that now. We've been paying that down every month, and essentially, getting that wiped out of the way, and so that's one primary thing we've been taking care of. So now that loan is starting to get to a manageable place, what we're looking at now is restructuring the company, recapitalizing it, and relaunching the business. So what we have done so far is this. We've had a few shareholder meetings because we needed to have our bylaws and the structure of the company reorganized, because it had kind of gotten, out of where it needed to be, I guess. I don't want to go into too much detail, but essentially, we just wanted to get the company back into an organizational structure where we can operate as in the situation that we are currently, which is basically nothing. We have no bank account. We have no money. We just have a few people who are willing to kick in what they can and get this going again. So we restructured our bylaws. We've restructured some things. We've now voted and elected a board of directors. So we now have a board of directors in place. We'll be meeting here in the near future to get the business rolling again. A couple of things that we're planning to do is really fast with the board of directors is to establish a bank account so we can start refunding and rebuilding the business again. And creating, a couple of frameworks for having some officers, some people to actually manage and direct the company, and having some staff members to actually do work, and how we plan to compensate them for their activities, etc. And basically, we're just right now in the process of putting the company back together as a business so that it has management, it has, guidance, it has legal framework, etc., to be able to begin operating, and banking and all that kind of stuff. So that's in the process. I think that should all be completed probably by mid-February, and then we'll be operating again as a business. We'll actually have legal structure and banking structure in place, and we can start operating again. But that doesn't mean we'll launch the website. The next phase will be to put a little bit of capital together. We have a few capital opportunities. So we have issued more stock in the company that we're going to sell internally to existing stockholders. We're looking at recapitalizing the business a little bit to have some capital to finish the software. And then once we've put that in place, that'll probably take around 30, 45 days to put into place. Once that's in place, the next plan is to start to finish the software. And this is a place where we have identified some major problems that we didn't identify in the past. Not necessarily problems in the software. The software was extremely well written. But one of the major problems that we identified was the fact that management was never able to actively engage in the software development in the past. And the reason for that was that the senior level management, especially me as CEO, we don't read and code in the language that the original software was being developed in. So what this did was it basically hogtied us as management in the development of the original tagvillage from the ability to forcefully or even helpfully affect the software. So we were 100% dependent upon and reliant upon the person and the few people who were developing the software and their knowledge and their feedback and what they said was going to happen or didn't happen or did happen. And we weren't able to, it was completely out of our hands. We've identified this problem and we've decided to change that problem. And so essentially what we're going to do, the long and short of it is this. We are going to rebuild tagvillage from ground up, all the software. We're adding some really cool features. We've been talking about this aggressively for a long time now, putting a really good plan together for how tagvillage is going to relaunch, how it's going to look, how it's going to function. There's going to be some really cool new trading opportunities in there, new ways to make money, a lot of cool things that are going to come. But it's all going to be programmed in languages that I myself am proficient in. Now, I agree that they're possibly not the greatest languages that could be designed for this particular application. Maybe there's other languages that we could use or other tool sets or other software we could develop. But my personal opinion is if that's the case, we'll move to that when the time is right. Matter of fact, the funny thing is, and one of the interesting things that came across me recently was this. One of the people who's highly involved in the software development of tagvillage said to me a statement a while back that made a very enlightening point to me, and that was, why did you always allow or push for the software to be built in a manner that you couldn't personally be involved in or affect because you didn't understand it, it wasn't a language you're proficient in, when you could have built it in a language that you're proficient in? And I said simply, well, because I think that the languages that I write and the software that I develop in is not as high level or not as good of quality as the language we had chosen to work in. And so I trusted that team, and their expertise and their decision making over mine. And this person basically said to me one very simple thing to me that just made a resounding, complete dynamic change in my personality. And that was this. I don't understand, because the language that you program in is the exact same language that Twitter and Facebook and some of the biggest websites in the world program in. So if it's good enough for some of the biggest web companies on earth, why is it not good enough for you? And I was like, I had no answer for that. It just completely shocked me, and it completely changed our approach to the software. It's right. If this particular software is good enough for some of the biggest operating websites on the planet, why is it not good enough for tagvillage? And it's a software that I write every day. I'm proficient in it. I can make sure that we're hitting targets. If an engineer comes to me and says, oh, we can't reach a milestone because of this and this and this and this, I can actually look at the software and determine that that's true, or he has another problem, or he's gone down another path chasing a tangent we don't need to be chasing. So in other words, we're going to rebuild tagvillage in language that the senior management, from me down, can 100% affect. So if we're not hitting a milestone, I can jump on the server. I can find out what's going on. I can assist in the development if needed. I can guide and direct the development. I can be a developer if needed. And, as my very wise advisor said, if this software is good enough for Facebook and Twitter, why is it not good enough for you? Well, the answer is, you're right. It's good enough for me. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. So we're going to rebuild tagvillage in language that I know and I understand and I can make sure that we're rolling product out when we say we're going to roll it out. Because one of the biggest problems I always had as CEO of TagVillage was this. I was constantly going to our development staff saying, listen, we need to launch blah, blah, blah on the site. We have a certain, thing that we've been telling our customers, this is coming, so we've got to launch that. When can we launch it? And they would tell us, oh, it'll be complete. It'll be operating on the site in 6 weeks. And so I would go to the members and our board of directors and our stockholders, and I would say, okay, we'll have it ready in 6 weeks. And then 6 weeks would come and go, and the software wouldn't be finished, and this particular thing we were wanting to launch wouldn't be launched. And I would go back to the software engineers. Why have we not launched this? Oh, well, there's this problem, and we realized this, and we thought about that, and we figured we could do it better this way, and so we're doing this. And so I just basically had to trust them. So I'd have to go back to the board of directors and back to the stockholders and back to the members and say, oh, we didn't reach our milestones. We have this problem and that problem, and we're rewriting it, but we guarantee it'll be live in 4 weeks. And then 4 weeks would come and go. We had this constant problem because I couldn't personally ascertain what was really going on in the software and what was really going on in the management, or the developers, personalities and mindsets, or the code or the logic or whatever. It was out of my control. So we're changing that dramatically. So that's a major improvement that's going to happen. That will probably take place, I would say, starting around March. We will start to actually redevelop the whole entire site. We will get it completely done, and then we'll launch. My goal is to relaunch TagVillage somewhere towards the last part of 2015, towards the end of 2015. And I do not want to launch TagVillage until all the components are complete and operational and ready to go. And what I mean by all the components is not just tag trading. I mean every aspect of trading, where people trade, buy and sell and trade and make money, every aspect of publishing, every aspect of advertising, the whole entire picture will be complete, and we'll roll it out all completed so that there's no waiting on one part of it to be finished before everyone can make money. We're going to get it completely done and then go live. So however long that takes, my personal estimation is it'll be towards the end of this year. It really depends on two factors. First of all, having the resources to commit to the programming. And that's two types of resources, the financial resources and the human resources. So right now we're working on recapitalizing the business, getting a little bit of finances in place in order to finish the software. And then since I am now CEO and major owner of BitBillions, GBBG, and David Newman also is, we have a huge influence over the resources at GBBG, and we have great software engineering resources. We've built that business in a different way than we built TagVillage. The code that's done at GBBG, the engineering that's done, the programmers, the developers, they all work in systems that I am 100% proficient in. So I can make sure we're reaching milestones in relatively manageable and predictable timelines. Yeah, we might miss something by a week, but we're not going to miss something by a year like we did with TagVillage. So things are different in that system, and we have those resources that we can draw upon. And so what I plan to do is, because I own a great majority of TagVillage and I own a great majority of BitBillions, I plan to work out an agreement between the two businesses. Now, obviously, these are completely separate entities, so there has to be a good business arrangement there. But I plan to make a good business arrangement whereby GBBG can help TagVillage, can assist TagVillage with its resources and get TagVillage's software done, and then TagVillage can get rolling and get going. And that might even involve, maybe GBBG has to develop some of the software for TagVillage, up front, and then get paid back later as TagVillage actually makes money. However we work that out, we will work that out. And so I plan by February we should have the business completely restructured, refounded, rebanked, everything going so we can start to operate. We can start working on capital. And then by March, we should be looking at having some programmers in place, full-time programming, rebuilding the site in language that I can directly impact. And then towards the end of the year, we launch and we go live. So that's pretty much a summary of where TagVillage is, what our game plan is, and where we're looking at headed. So now what I want to do is open us up to questions and answers. We'll answer any questions you guys have. Like I said, this is recorded. We'll put it on the website, and then hopefully people will be encouraged and at least get the information they want from this or need. David, we got questions coming in?
Yeah, we got one. Just as long as everyone else, just put your questions in and we'll get to them. First one that's come up is, what happened to the funds I invested in Tag Village?
Well, predominantly two things happened to it. First of all, and I don't know which way, what you mean by invested. If you mean by as a shareholder where you actually purchased stock in the company, or as a member where you put money into your account to buy and sell tags. But essentially what happened was this. We operated the business for little over 2.5 years at a negative, at a loss every year. So we were spending more money than we were making, and most of that expense was on development that was not getting completed, as I just spoke about. So we had software engineers that were just burning and churning through our funds developing software, and we couldn't get it done. I've understood, I know there were mistakes made, there were decisions made that were bad decisions, or, you can always look back at something and see where you made an error. It's hard to understand at the time that you're making a mistake, but I'm looking back and I can see where we made decisions that were bad, especially in the development of the software and the management of the software engineering team. We put our faith and trust in someone to get our software developed that, quite frankly, just couldn't get it done. And so that really hurt us as a company. We spent way too much money on our software and never got a return on that investment. And then, to cap it off, we had a massive, nearly $100,000 stolen from us in credit card fraud, and that just wiped us out. I mean, the money literally got stolen from us. So between those two things, it really wiped us out. So when we closed Tag Village's website, there was $27 in the bank account. That was all that was left, because it was spent on software development to try to get Tag Village done, and it was stolen from us by credit card thieves, and that's where it all went.
Another one that's just come in. Given how long software takes to develop, how can we be sure it will be this year rather than in years to come before it'll be ready?
Well, okay, if you're starting from scratch, let's say you have a game plan, or you have an idea, you say, here's our concept, we want to build this, we want to design it, we're going to grow it, all that stuff. That could be a multi-year process. We don't have that problem. We have 2.5 years of history. We know the logic, the strategies, what needs to be built, how the tables need to be built in the database, how the site needs to interact with itself and with the users, etc. So we have all that behind us. So recoding it in a different language is not a matter of coming up with entirely new logic and entirely new processes. It's just a matter of changing the logic and processes into the code that we're planning to go with now. So and then adding a few bells and whistles to that. So, I mean, the majority of the operations is there, and it's functional to a certain degree. The problem is there's actually too much stuff there. We're going to fine-tune it down to just the bare bones of what's needed and get it done. So that's why I feel like we can pull it out, in 1 year's development time rather than multiple years of development time, because we don't have to start from ground zero. We have 2 years of understanding the processes behind our belt. Plus, we have some added advantages in, there's been a lot of developments in themes, in customer management software, payment management software, security stuff. There's a lot of things that used to be custom built that we don't even have to custom build anymore. We can just take what's already out there. I mean, good grief, Twitter Bootstrap opens the world up to themes for free. It's open source. So there's tons and tons and tons of things we can draw upon that we don't have to go out and develop ourselves. And that's one of the strategies I plan to deploy heavily in Tag Village is we're going to ask ourselves, we're going to constantly ask the development team, okay, we need to do this in our software. Is there something out there that already does this? And if so, why don't we just acquire that and plug it in instead of building it from scratch? Because building it from scratch could take months and months, where we could just spend a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 and plug something in that's already done and use that. So the strategy is going to be build upon stuff, that's already done rather than building it all from scratch. And that'll make things move a lot faster.
Okay. What's going to happen to existing members' accounts?
Existing members' accounts will be exactly what they were when we relaunched the website in April of 2013, was it? When we did that one big relaunch. What you'll do is when you sign in, you're going to have all your credits back. And you'll be able to use those credits for trading. Now, there's going to be 2 or 3 different types of trading in the new Tag Village. So it's not going to be just tag trading. It's going to be really cool. We got some cool new ideas coming. So you'll have all those credits available to you for those trading, and you'll be able to just go to work right off the bat. All the tags will be going away because we're completely changing the whole philosophy and strategy behind what tags are used for and how they're traded. So if you got all your tags back from the old site, you would just be in a massive negative. You would have such a problem making any money, it would not be worth it. So it's better to just start everybody at 0 with our new trading platform.
Are we going to see weekly updates on development progress?
I can't promise weekly updates. I can tell you we'll give out updates as often as we can, but I can't promise weekly because I don't know if there will be weekly updates, especially not until, the ball's really rolling, probably after about probably late March to April before we'll really have full-time programming going. So maybe at that point in time we can start to roll out some updates on what's been done. Let me go back to that last question real fast too. Anyone who joined the site and deposited money after we relaunched in April 1st, you'll also have those funds back in your account. So don't worry if you joined after that relaunch, that you're going to be completely lost. Basically, everybody's funds will be returned to their account on launch, and you'll start from there, just like if you'd have just made your deposit that day.
And that also applied to the members that were in before April when they relaunched any money they put in afterwards.
Yeah. You got to remember, through the time that we did operate, we paid out several $100,000. I think it was close to $700,000 or $800,000 in payouts during our operations. So there was a lot of people that took profits from this company. There were some ex-board members that took profits. There were, a lot of people who actually made a profit buying and selling tags and withdrew substantial amounts of money. So I guess that's another place that the investment went. We had people withdrawing money. We had, fraudsters scamming us with bogus credit cards, and then we were paying, for a long time trying to develop our software. So, but yeah, we will refund everybody. Not refund, but we will replace everybody's credits into their account the way they were, so that you'll have those funds available to use when the site launches.
Will members have their referrals still?
Yes. Yeah, every single thing about the old website has been backed up. All the database is still intact. We just put it on a hard drive. Actually, it's in 2 different places. It's in Amazon cloud storage, and it's also in a physical hard drive, here locally with me. So we have access to the data. We'll extract all the data out of the old website, put it back into the new website properly. All your referrals will be in place. Your username, password, email address, all that stuff will be in place when we relaunch.
What's going to happen with the Millionaire Club and Founders Profit Pool?
I don't know. Obviously we'll have to make good on all that stuff once we've relaunched, but it all has to come out of future operations and future profits. The company has no bank account right now. The company has $0 and 0 cents right now. So everything has to come from future investments that we're working on and future operations. So it's all just going to have to come out of operations. It could take years. It could take 10 years to reestablish all that. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I think with those ones, it's not going to be as much of an issue. The Millionaires Club was to get referrals anyway, so that can
that's true. That's not that's not a cost.
The Founders Profit share was based on profits for the company. So, in reality, once the website is up and running, you really don't want to be getting any of that until it's starting to make some decent money anyway. So, I think the main thing is that people know that yes, they'll still have that. It might be something that'll have to be looked at, whether there's going to be something on the site saying that they have got a certain amount of Millionaire Club shares or something like that, and the Founders Profit plan it was called exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the members do have that, then they know it's going to come. It's just going to be, it's not going to be straight away. You're not going to start getting referrals straight away once the website reopens. It's just
Yeah.
setting it all up.
Yeah, and the data for all that, as far as like who is owed what, all that's still in the database. So I mean, we can easily reflect that back on the site. So if somebody has referrals owed to them through the Millionaires Club, we'll reprogram that in, and we'll redistribute. We'll start distributing house referrals as soon as we go live if we want to. You know, I mean, we can address all that easily. Anything that's a physical layout of cash will obviously take time for the money to be flowing. So like, for example, the profit sharing, you can't share in profits until there's any profits. So we've got to get the company running. We've got to establish some revenues, some profits, and then we can start to share that out. So yeah.
What happens if someone's got a new email address compared to what they were using?
We'll build a system to allow people to retrieve accounts. The good thing about tagvillage is we had personal information in there for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people had their profiles and stuff set up. We have fairly decent information on every member in the system. So we will create system to allow people to reestablish their accounts and to verify that that's them. I mean, every single person who ever made a deposit, we can track how that deposit came into the site, you know, from what, you know, PayPal, Payza, what email addresses, etc. So it's not difficult for us to prove and verify who owns an account and then, you know, help them to reestablish access to that account.
Will there be any better system for updating members?
You mean like email system or something like that? Possible. I mean, all of that will have to be rebuilt from scratch. So I'm certain that once we start to get moving towards relaunch, we'll build, you know, a newsletter, an email list, and people can register for that. And if you sign up, you'll get your newsletters. That's one thing we're doing in our current, you know, GBBG business is building newsletter lists to keep people informed on stuff. So it's a practice we could easily implement into tagvillage. But it'll have to all be built from scratch. We're not going to send out a mass email to all the old email addresses because we would immediately get blocked and blacklisted. Our server would get blacklisted on every server in the world because I'm sure a vast amount of those email addresses are no longer valid.
That sort of answers the next one on what will a message be sent to all old members. Will my password be the same?
It should be, yeah. I mean, we're going to use the same login credentials we had before, so you'll be able to sign in using the same username and password. And if you can't remember it or can't access it, you'll be able to contact the admin, and there'll be a system for restoring your account.
That's all the questions we've got at the moment. Has anyone else got any questions?
Any other questions, guys? I don't want to make this a really long webinar anyway, so shorter the better, and that way we can post it online and people can watch it and get their answers quickly. I don't see any more coming through. Guys, ask any questions you have, and we'll get them in here and recorded.
Even if you think you know the answer, if it's something that you think someone else might need to know.
I think when we launch this website and you guys see some of the ideas we have for completely changing the whole concept of trading, you know, like I said, there's going to be 2, but maybe 3 completely different types of trading. It's not just going to be buying and selling tags anymore. There's going to be some really cool things in here. I think you guys are going to be like, wow, this is way better than we ever could have thought of the first time around, which is another opportunity that we've had. I mean, we've got a lot of time to look backwards and look at things that were done and how we could have done them better, etc. So we've had a lot of hindsight time.
Another one came through. Can non-shareholders buy the new issue of shares?
Only if somebody contacts us directly asking us if they were interested. They could email, you know, our email address. I think it was admin@tagvillage.com and start the communication that way. But we are not going out and soliciting and selling any investors. We have an existing group of stockholders, and we have a few close and personal relationships of myself that we're talking with for recapitalizing the business. So we're not, you know, publicly advertising that. but obviously if somebody contacts me and says, hey, I'm interested in, investing and getting tagvillage going again, I can talk with them about that and see if it's a viable investment for them and for, a viable investor for us.
Nothing else coming through.
Okay. Well, we don't have to make this a very long webinar. I mean, it's pretty simple. I'll summarize it real fast. We had to close the company down because we just completely ran out of funds, especially after the credit card fraud thing just wiped out our bank account. We've closed the site down for a while. We actually closed the entire business down. We didn't even have any board of directors or officers or anything for pretty much a year. Now we're reestablishing all that. We're getting the company, working its way out of, the only debt that it had on its books. Then we're going to reestablish the website, and then we're going to launch and go live. So that's the game plan. I estimate we will be in development on software somewhere around March, maybe April. And I estimate we should be able to be looking at launching some sort of a website rollout towards the end of 2015. But then again, those are estimates. There always can be things that get in the way. But we'll try to keep people, updated on that as much as we can. We'll post the next time that we're going to have a webinar or have any kind of information coming out. So once in a while, just check in on the website and you'll find out information there. And we'll try to keep you guys informed as we move forward to rebuilding and relaunching this company. Thanks a lot for attending. Thank you for your time and your questions, and hope you guys have a great day or night or afternoon or whatever time it is in your part of the world. See you guys later.